You didn't tell anyone, but something inside you has been quietly dying. And no matter how strong you pretend to be, you've been silently begging for a way out. Not just from your situation, but from the version of you that had to survive. So if your eyes are on this video right now, that's not random. It's a sign. Because what's been killing you in silence, Allah is about to pull you out of it. Chapter 1. The silence was not a punishment. It was a rescue. Remember when the noise faded? The texts stopped. The calls dried up. The notifications went silent. And for the first time, you were forced to sit with just yourself. No distractions. No crowd. No one checking in like they used to, and you panicked. Why is everyone pulling away? Why did Allah let them leave? Why does life feel frozen while everyone else is moving on? But what if I told you that silence wasn't a punishment? It was a divine rescue, a soft, unseen intervention, because you were too good at pretending, smiling at gatherings while your heart was breaking, being strong for everyone while collapsing inside, making others laugh. While aching when the door closed behind you, you didn't just carry pain, you performed around it. And so Allah, in His mercy, not His wrath, removed the audience. He took away the roles you were exhausted from playing. He let the crowd fade, not to isolate you, but to free you. That long pause, that eerie, uncomfortable stillness, it was your soul finally catching its breath. The moment your heart, stripped of all noise, could whisper, "Ya Allah, I can't keep pretending anymore." And that's where healing began. In the quiet, in the unseen, in the space where no one clapped, but heaven listened. Because sometimes Allah doesn't subtract to harm you. He subtracts to center you, to make you whole again, not through more people, but through less noise, less distraction, less pretending. So if life ever goes quiet again, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it teach you. Let it hold you. Let it reintroduce you to the version of yourself that doesn't need applause to feel worthy, because you were never forgotten. You were just being rescued, in the softest, most loving way, by the one who saw your pain and decided it was time for you to stop hiding it. Chapter 2. You forgot who you were pretending to be, that version of you. The one who always smiled, the one who stayed calm, composed, and fine no matter what. The one who seemed in control, even while falling apart inside. It wasn't fake, but it wasn't you either. It was armor. You wore it to protect yourself, to be loved, to belong, to feel like you were enough in a world that constantly made you feel like you weren't. And it worked, for a while. People admired your strength. They praised your resilience. They leaned on you while you had no one to lean on. And slowly, without even noticing, you lost touch with the real you, the gentle one, the sensitive one, the one who used to cry without shame, the one who loved deeply and felt everything fully. But now you're here, and you feel lost, blurry, disconnected, like you've been wearing a mask for so long. You forgot what your real face looks like, and I want you to know, this is not a breakdown. It's a sacred unraveling, because Allah isn't letting you go back to who you used to pretend to be. He's not punishing you. He's reclaiming you, peeling away the layers you had to wear just to survive. You are not broken. You are returning. Returning to the soft-hearted version of you that used to whisper sincere du'as in the dark. Returning to the honest soul who didn't need applause to feel worthy. Returning to the one who didn't shrink for others or perform to be loved. So let the old self fall away. Let the mask crack. Let the armor rust. It served its purpose. But it's no longer who you are. Allah is not asking you to be stronger. He's inviting you to be truer. And the moment you stop performing, you'll start healing. Not by becoming someone new, but by finally becoming who you've always been. Chapter 3. The distractions aren't working anymore. You used to be so good at hiding the ache. Swipe, scroll, laugh, work, distract. Anytime the heaviness crept in, you had a way to silence it. Another show to binge, another text to answer, another goal to chase, another excuse to keep going, without really feeling. But lately, it's not working. You try to numb the ache, and it only grows louder. You try to stay busy, and the stillness finds you anyway. You smile in public, and then cry alone. And you ask, Ya Allah, why am I crying more now? Why do I feel everything so deeply? Why does the sadness keep returning when I've done everything to avoid it? Here's the quiet truth. Because Allah is not letting you escape anymore. Because you can't heal what you keep pretending doesn't hurt. You weren't living. You were surviving. Putting emotional bandages on spiritual wounds. Doing everything but sitting with the pain that needed your attention. But now you're finally feeling what you used to run from. And though it hurts, this is where healing begins. Because Allah loves you too much to let you fake your peace forever. He loves you too much to let you settle for shallow distractions. He's pulling you into presence, into stillness, into the part of you that's been ignored for far too long. Yes, the ache is louder now. But it's not because you're breaking. It's because the numbness is finally wearing off. And in that rawness, in those 2 a.m. tears, your heart is whispering things you never let it say out loud. I'm not okay. I'm tired of pretending. I want to be whole again. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of truth. That's the soul coming home to itself. So no, the distractions aren't working anymore. Because you're not meant to stay numb. You're meant to feel, to face, to heal, for real this time. Chapter 4. You feel like a stranger around people. You love, you still care. You still show up. You still laugh at the jokes and ask how everyone's doing. But something feels off. Like you're present in the room, but not in it. Like your heart has stepped outside, even while your body stays seated. You glance around the table at faces you've known for years, and you wonder, why do I feel so alone around the people I love? What's wrong with me? Have I changed too much? Here's the truth. You have changed. And that's not something to apologize for. It's something to understand. Your soul is growing. Your conversations have deepened. Your heart now craves sincerity, not small talk. Your spirit aches for meaning, not just memories. And suddenly, the rooms you once ran to for comfort now feel tight. The laughter feels loud, but not warm. The energy feels familiar, but no longer safe. It's not that you've outgrown love. It's that you've outgrown environments that ask you to shrink to stay connected. And no, it's not arrogance. It's awakening. Allah is gently pulling you out of circles that keep you stagnant. Not because they're bad people, but because your soul needs more now. More purpose, more presence, more Him. Sometimes the hardest part of growth isn't what you gain. It's what you can no longer relate to. It's grieving a version of connection that no longer fits. It's realizing that people who were once your shelter have quietly become your ceiling, but you're not abandoning them. You're not better than them. You're simply answering a higher call. The call to evolve, to rise, to make space for a version of you that doesn't have to choose between peace and belonging. So if you feel like a stranger around people you love, let that be a sign, not of loneliness, but of alignment. Not of isolation, but of invitation. Allah is not separating you. He's elevating you. Chapter 5. You feel empty. But that's not a sign you're lost. You're getting things done. You're achieving, checking boxes, showing up for life. To the outside world, everything seems fine, maybe even impressive. But inside, there's a quiet hollowness you can't explain. You smile, but it doesn't reach your eyes. You laugh, but you feel disconnected from the moment. You go to sleep wondering, why does everything feel dull? Where did the joy go? What's wrong with me? But maybe, just maybe, nothing is wrong. Maybe that emptiness you feel is sacred. A divine space that's been cleared, not because you've lost yourself, but because Allah is making room for something deeper. You used to fill your heart with noise, the praise of others, the rush of success, the comfort of distractions. And when that didn't work, you filled it with people who made you feel temporarily full, but who left as soon as your soul started to stir. Now that space is bare, uncomfortable, quiet, and your first instinct is to panic. To rush and refill it, to fix the problem, but don't, stay with it. Because what you're calling emptiness might actually be readiness. You see, Allah removes what is false before He gives what is true. He strips away the noise before He speaks to your soul. He empties the vessel before He pours purpose into it. This ache, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something real. Peace isn't always loud. Sometimes it starts in stillness, in that strange, quiet ache that tells you, you were made for more than this. And yes, it feels like something is missing, but it's not because you're broken. It's because your soul is awakening, and it no longer finds satisfaction in the things that used to numb it. So don't fear the emptiness. Honor it, because Allah is about to fill that space with meaning, with light, with Him. With Him. This is not your ending, it's your beginning. 26 hour, 30. So if life feels quieter, you don't recognize yourself anymore, nothing feels the same. Don't panic. You're not being forgotten. You're being freed. Freed from the version of you that was dying inside, and pulled gently, lovingly, back to life. One breath at a time, one prayer at a time, one unseen mercy at a time. Final dua, Ya Allah. I don't even know who I am anymore, but I know I need you. Take what's killing me in silence and replace it with what brings me closer to you. Make this pain my path and this silence my sanctuary. Ameen. If this video touched something inside you, don't scroll away in silence. Type, Ya Allah, I'm ready to return to you in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. You never know who else is silently crying behind a smile.